Hi, I'm Liz with Liz's Crafts, and today I will be bringing you 4 more paper flowers. I hope you guys like these. So the first one is, and I know I can't say this right, Chrysanthemum. Hopefully I did that okay. So I have my pieces cut out from Design Space on my Cricut, and I'm just taking this tool here. No, what am I doing? Yes, I'm taking this tool here and I'm going to curl the petals of the flower. So I want to curl them in towards the center. So the curl is going to be the upside or the right side of the flower. So they're going to be curled up. And you want to do this very carefully. You want to hang on to the petals as you're doing it so you don't pull them off like that. Yeah. Okay, but we're still going to use it. So I'm just going to hot glue it back on. And it's paper, so it works. No problem. You can even overlap it a little bit onto the bottom piece there. It's all good. I was not going to cut this again. So this is the inner portion of the chrysanthemum. Chrysanthemum. And you want to curl it quite a bit. So that's why I'm doing it twice on each flower petal. And there it is. There's the center of our flower. Isn't it pretty? So I have light purple, 2 of them, a medium purple, 2 of them, and then 2 dark purple. So now the next one, I'm not going to curl as much. So I'm just going to do it one time. So I'm just putting the tool over it and scraping it just once. Like I said, you want to hold on to the base of the petal as you're doing this so you don't yank it off. But if you do yank it off, you can always glue it back on. No big deal. And there's the second piece to our flower. Now we're on to the third piece. So this paper actually has a design on the back side of it, but we're using the plain side of it for the petals. And again, I'm just scraping it once, and actually not all the way to the base of the flower. And we'll do this one the same way. So you see, I'm just going about 3/4 of the way down. Look at that, I pulled that one off too. So now I have to glue it back on. So you want to be careful. But like I say, if you pull it off, it's no big deal. You just glue it back on. Learn from my mistakes. Make sure you hold the base as you're scraping your petals. It gets a little awkward, but you can do it. And I just love the way this flower came out, and it is so huge. So if you want to look for flowers on Design Space, you can go to New Project and hit the projects and then type in 3D flower. And these 3D flowers will come up and you just pick the one that you want to make. Okay, what am I doing here? What's happening? Okay, so this one, same thing. I'm going about 3/4 of the way down. Maybe a little less than 3/4. But this flower is pretty easy to make. And boy, does it pack a punch. That thing is huge. Now you can also use your Cricut scraper tool to curl the flowers, the petals. I really enjoyed making all these paper flowers. I had fun. They turned out so nice. I actually like these types better than the rolled flowers. I don't have as much luck with the rolled flowers as I do these. Okay, so there's all our petals. Now we're going to start putting it together. So I'm just going to use hot glue and I'm going to put it at the bottom here of this next large piece. So the largest piece is on the bottom, and you want to kind of alternate the petals. So the petals of this piece are in between the petals of the last piece. And then you're just going to go smaller and smaller until you get all the pieces on. But this flower is pretty simple to make. Let me know if you've ever made a chrysanthemum. I know how it's spelled, but I just don't quite get the pronunciation correct. My 8-year-old granddaughter can say it better than I can. And here's the last of our petal pieces. Isn't that pretty? And look at that. That thing is huge. And there's the green bottom piece. So we also want it to curl out. So we want it away from the middle. Just like that. So we're going to hot glue that on. So there's our flower piece. Now we're going to work on our leaves and stem. So I have 2 leaves cut out from Design Space. That was part of the project. And then I have this piece of floral wire that I'm bending in half. I'm going to cut in half. And so we want to hot glue the wire onto the leaf all the way so we can, once we get it on our stem, then we can bend the leaf the way we want it to bend. So this enables us to make the leaf flexible. There's one leaf. And now we're going to get on with the second leaf. Now with the second leaf, I don't take it all the way to the end of the leaf, but you could. I took the other one all the way to the end, but decided not to do this one that way. So either way, it's good. And then once I bend them, I actually had to go back in with a little more hot glue and glue the wire down a little more securely. It wanted to pop up. So now we have a skewer from the Dollar Tree, and we're going to place this in the bottom of the flower. So the green part has a hole in it, but the flower pieces did not have a hole in it. So I'm just trying to figure out what I want to do. So I did have to add some more glue to my leaf there with a wire. And now I have this floral tape, and I'm just going to wrap it around my skewer. So I'm starting at the flat end of the skewer. And I did put a little bit of glue there to hold it in place, just to get it started. And then you just twist the skewer and wrap the floral tape around the skewer. And then you want to add your leaf. When you add it on there, then you want to wrap the wire on the leaf onto the skewer. So you want enough of the wire on the skewer to wrap it for maybe an inch or two. Well, maybe 2 or 3 inches. That way it's secure. So there we have the one leaf on. Now we're going to add the other leaf the same way. So we kind of want one on one side and one on the other side of the skewer, which is now the stem. So just hold it in place while you wrap it with the floral tape. Again, just twisting it. Twisting and wrapping as you go. Twisting the skewer and wrapping the tape until you get to the pointy end. Once you get to the bottom, then you can just cut that off. Or you can tear it off. So there we go. And now we're back, and I had tried to glue the skewer onto the green piece without it going through the flower itself, and it just was not working. So I'm just taking this tool here, and I'm putting a hole all the way through the flower. Just making it a little bit bigger. And then we're going to glue the skewer onto it, but push it up into the flower also. Now you're not going to be able to see it because that middle part of the flower closes in on the center. Otherwise, if you just try to glue the skewer onto the bottom of the flower there, it's not going to stay. I tried and tried and it did not work. So you have to push it up through the flower. And that worked, and there it is. Look at that thing. Isn't she a beauty? So pretty and huge. I hope I've inspired someone to make one of these. And I'm going to try to say it again. Chrysanthemum. Chrysanthemum. So I'm just going through and scrape in a few more of the petals that kind of fall down a little bit. And there she is, sitting in a little glass from the Dollar Tree. And now we're going to go on to the daffodil. So for this one, I have another one of the skewers. And you can get these at the Dollar Tree. They come in a pack of 100 for, you know, $1.25. And I'm going to paint it with some Christmas green acrylic paint. And this is going to be our stem for our daffodil. Mom always had daffodils. I always thought they were pretty. And I used to call my sister Daffy because her name was Daphne. So always remind me, when I say daffodil, reminds me of my sister. And then once I get the skewer painted, I'm just going to wipe it down with a dry paper towel. So it kind of gives it a stained look. And now we're going to start putting the center piece of our daffodil together. I'm just going to put a little bit of hot glue on the blunt end of my skewer. And I'm going to take the center piece of the daffodil and I'm just going to wrap it around the skewer, which is now our stem. So I have glue on the skewer itself to start out with, and then once I wrap it all the way around, I put a little bit more glue to hold it down. Then I'm going to spread the pieces out a little bit. Just pulling off some hot glue there. So there's that part of it. And now we're going to continue with that center part of our daffodil. So it has a tab on it, and we want to glue that to the other side to make it like a tube. So I'm just putting some hot glue on the tab. Make it into a tube, and then make sure that's hot glued down. Make sure everything is even. So I'm going to add a little bit more glue to the other where it connects. Just holding that until it sets up. Decide to put a little bit of glue on the very top there. I just think it made it look a little bit better to be laying down. And now there's two tabs on the very bottom of this piece, and you're going to fold those in towards the center. So just like that, towards the center. And then we're going to set that piece aside. And then we're going to work on our petals. So we have two pieces here that are exactly the same size. They also have a tab on them. And we're going to make like a tube shape, or sort of. So it has 3 petals, and then we just hook that 2 outer petals together with the tab, putting a little hot glue on it. So we have one, and now we're going to do the other one. And you might want to put your tab on the inside of your outer flower petals, and then on the outside of your inner flower petals, if that makes any sense. That way your outside petal is not going to show the tab because it's on the inside, and your inside petal is not going to show the tab because it's on the outside. And then you want to glue these two pieces together, making sure that the petals are staggered. So the top petals are in between the bottom petals. And so we're just going to put glue on the inside of the outside petals. And then we're going to glue the inside petals on top. Just like that. And now we're ready to put our piece together. So this one was a pretty easy one. So there we have the center of our daffodil. And so I'm going to put glue on the two tabs that are on there. And then we're just going to glue them to the bottom of the inside petals. Inside the bottom of the petals. And then I'm just going to push the tabs down with the end of my tool there, since it was a little difficult to get my fingers in there. And there's that part. And now for the last part, we're just going to put the stem in. So you want to make sure that you put glue on the bottom of the piece you glued on your stem. And then you're just going to put it down through your flower there. And then you're kind of going to hold it steady for the glue to set up. And you can also put a little bit of glue on the outside where your stick is, your stem is. And there's my two daffodils. Aren't they cute? Like I said, they make me think of my sister. And now we're going on to the Gerber daisies. So these are pretty cool too. Actually, I like all these flowers. So again, I'm using the Christmas green acrylic paint and another one of those little skewers from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to paint it. Doing the same thing, painting it and then wiping it with a dry paper towel. And these are all these designs are in Design Space, and I cut them out with my Cricut. So this is a brown piece, and this paper was really thick. It was so thick that I couldn't get my Cricut to cut it all the way through, and I had to use my scissors. So you just put glue along the outer edge, and then you put those two edges together. And then you're going to glue it to your skewer. And again, you're going to glue it to the blunt end of the skewer. And then you're just going to roll it and wrap it. Now, since this was some thicker cardstock paper, I'm going to glue it all along the bottom edge, all the way, instead of waiting until I get to the end. I was afraid it wouldn't stay rolled up if I didn't do that. But if you have thinner paper, you probably don't need to do that. Just do it at the beginning and then at the end. So there, we got that all wrapped, and then my stick came out. So I'm going to glue it back in, put some glue down in there, and then put my stem back through. And then just squeeze it and hold it for a little bit. So there's that piece, and now we're going to go in and start working on the gold piece of cardstock. And we do the exact same thing that we did to the brown piece to the gold piece. Fold it over, we're going to glue it down, and then we're going to wrap it on the stem. So I'm just trying to hold it down till the glue sets up. And then where it got hard too quickly, I'm going to add a little bit more glue. So once that's done, then we're going to start where we ended with the brown piece. We're going to start the gold piece right there. Put a little bit of glue on to keep that outer piece of the brown down. And now we're going to add the gold. Like I said, I'm just adding it where we left off with the brown. And then you're just going to roll it. Now you can either roll it this way or you can put it in your hand and do it. Whatever works best for you. There, we got it all on. And look, I'm going to spread it out. Spread the gold out, spread the brown out. See how it's all cut? And that's the center of our Gerber daisy. So cute. So I put a little bit of hot glue where the skewer poked up through there. Now we're going to start putting these other pieces on. So these are our petals. So again, we're going to start where we left off with the gold. And then we're going to glue and wrap, glue and wrap, glue and wrap. It really is not a hard flower to make. Now you can either put the glue on the piece you're gluing on, or you could put it on the previous piece that you've glued on. Either way, whatever works better for you. And I switch it up, you know. I feel like sometimes one way works better and then sometimes the other way works better. So we got that piece on. And now I'm just pushing the petals down. These are pretty big flowers too. Look at that, it's already looking cute. So we're just going to continue on with the next piece. Of course, I have to put my flower petals back up a little bit to get the piece on. We're just going to do it the same way. We're going to start where we left off with the last piece. Can't seem to grip that on my table. There we go. We got it. Have I said I enjoyed making these flowers? I did. I truly did. I like making them. So see, this is where I put it on what was previously down as I'm wrapping instead of on the piece I'm wrapping itself. So you can do it either way, whatever works better for you. Okay, so I got that piece on there. And then I'm just going to push the petals out a little bit. I don't know why I do this since I have to push them back in when I start the next piece, but I guess just to get a good look at what it's going to look like. See if I like it, which I do. I like it a lot. Okay, so we're ready for our next piece. Again, we're going to start this one where we left off with the last piece. Now you see this one, I'm back to gluing on the piece that I'm gluing on instead of the previous piece. So, you know, I mean, it's just whatever works for you. And you guys will have to let me know at the end which flower was your favorite. Again, I'm just going to spread out the petals a little bit. And now we're going to work on the big petals. So we have 3 of these. And they're all the same size. So I was just checking to make sure. And then we're just going to do it like we did the previous flower, where you glue the tab onto the other piece of the flower. But we're going to use our scraper tool, and we're going to scrape the petals so they go out. So we're just going to add hot glue to the tab and then glue that to the outside of the flower. And then we're going to do all 3 of these the same way. Make sure you hang on to those petals as you're doing it so you don't pull them off. I think I kind of ripped that one a little bit. Yep, so I have to add a little bit of hot glue to it. I should have been more careful. So we're going to let that one dry a little bit before I glue it together. So we're starting on the 3rd one. Putting glue on the tab and then connecting it to the outside of the flower. Now this one, I'm going to glue the tab to the inside of the flower. See, I'm trying to think about it right now. So I turned it over, and I'm going to glue the tab to the inside because that's going to be our outside flower petals. You'll see when we start putting this together. So see, it's going to be our bottom layer. So we're going to put glue around the inside portion there. And then we're going to add our next layer, and you want to make sure you alternate the petals. So these go in between the petals that are already on the bottom. And then we do the same thing for the next layer. Put our glue in the center of that one, and then add that one on top. Alternating the petals. Come on, Liz, you can do it. Alternate them. There you go. Well, sort of. Yeah, it's okay, I guess. I could have done better, I guess. And now we have our middle. Just putting it in there to see what it's going to look like. And now I'm going to add hot glue to the bottom of this. So I'm doing it all around it. And then we're going to add this to the center of our flower. And look how pretty that is. Oh my gosh, that is so pretty. Huge too. Nice big flower. Gerber daisy. And there I made a blue one. Aren't they pretty? Nice and huge. Here's the bottom. I'm just going to add a little bit of hot glue to the bottom there, just to make sure our stem doesn't come out. But there they are. And here they are in the vase. I'm loving them, and they're huge. Now on to our black-eyed Susan. So now we have another skewer, and I'm going to paint it with the Christmas green acrylic paint. However, you do not need to do this. This is a wasted step. So forget the paint. Don't paint the skewer. You don't need to. Waste of time. Waste of time and paint. So now we have this centerpiece for our flower, our black-eyed Susan. And we need to put glue along the bottom and then bend it over halfway. Now these do have notches in it, just like the Gerber daisy middle did. Only this is in 3 different levels. And you start with the longer level, putting it on your skewer. So I'm just going to add a little bit of hot glue, start that on my skewer. And again, I use it on the blunt end. And you're just going to wrap it just like you did for the Gerber daisy. And this is the thicker cardstock that I have, just like in the previous flowers. So I am putting hot glue all along the edge as I wrap it, because otherwise it might not stay put. It is very thick cardstock. It was the only brown I had. Now my skewer came out, my stem came out, so I had to add some hot glue to the center, and I'm going to hold that until it sets up a little bit. Just going to kind of squeeze it a little. And then I'm going to take this dark brown acrylic paint, and I'm going to paint the end of the skewer. Now you could do this to the Gerber daisies too, but I didn't, but you can. Now for the black-eyed Susan, you know, those leaves kind of fall down towards the outside. So not towards the center, but towards the outer part, like the Gerber daisies. I'm going to hang on to these at the base while I'm doing this so I don't rip them off. Using the scraper tool. There we go. So I'm adding some hot glue to the bottom part of the middle of the the black-eyed Susan. And then we're just going to glue that down onto our petals. We used to pick black-eyed Susans where we grew up in West Virginia all the time. Black-eyed Susans and then the daisies. So pretty. I love wildflowers. So I'm just going to put glue around the center of this green piece, and it's going to go on the bottom of our black-eyed Susan. Just like that. Now we want to work on our leaves. So I have this 20 gauge wire that I used to use for jewelry, and I am going to cut a piece off for each leaf. And I was going to use that piece, but since that leaf was larger, I decided to cut a piece for each leaf individually. Since they're smaller, they won't need as much wire. And now we're just going to hot glue the wire onto the center of the leaf. Just like we did in the previous flowers. I think it was the chrysanthemum. And that's going to give us some flexibility in our leaves so that we can bend them. Now, as I bent these later on, I did have to add a little more hot glue in places where the wire kind of popped up. Just trying to decide where I want to place the leaves. And then I thought I could wrap the floral tape around the middle and then shove it up to the top of our flower like I did the metal stems in a previous paper flower video, but it doesn't move off of the bamboo. So I had to start at the top. Now you could add a little bit of hot glue, but I just kind of held it there with my finger and then started wrapping. And that seemed to work, but you could add a little hot glue if you need to. And then I'm just going to start adding the leaves on just like we did in the first flower DIY, the chrysanthemum. I think I'm getting better at pronouncing it. So you'll have to let me know which of these flowers you like best. I think I like the chrysanthemum the best. But I liked making each and every one of them. And I hope I've inspired you to make some paper flowers. I have them sitting on my dresser in crystal vases. And I just think they're lovely. That way, you know, I'm not going to kill them because they're paper. And I'll have them forever if I want them forever. So you just want to make sure that you're getting the wire underneath the floral tape onto the skewer, which is now your stem. And there we have our black-eyed Susan. I don't think there's any black-eyed Susans in Texas. They have like sunflowers that kind of look like them, but they're not exactly the same. So there I am adding a little more hot glue for the leaf to make sure the wire stays on. There she is. And here I have her in a vase. A black-eyed Susan. And here are all 4 of the flowers. So let me know which one's your favorite. Like I said, the bottom right one is mine. Again, I'm Liz with Liz's Crafts, and if you like what you see here, please give me a thumbs up. I would truly appreciate it. And if you are a subscriber, thank you so much. And if you just watch my videos, thank you so much for that. And if you haven't subscribed, would you consider subscribing? And I'll see you in the next video.